Congratulations! You have successfully worked 40 hours this week to earn a stack of paper that is currently committing suicide in your bank account. Most people think a bank is a fortress, a safe haven where your hard-earned cash sits in a velvet-lined vault, protected by lasers and men with very thick necks. But in reality, your bank account is more like a retirement home where your dollars go to slowly wither away. They stay there until they can no longer afford their own medication. Meet Bob. Bob is a good guy. Bob draws his confidence from the number he sees on his mobile banking app. Every time he sees that balance, he feels a warm, fuzzy sense of security. He thinks he is winning at life because he isn't spending. He is saving. Poor, sweet, delusional Bob. While Bob is sleeping, dreaming of a comfortable retirement and perhaps a boat with a punny name, a silent assassin is breaking into his house. This assassin doesn't want his TV or his mediocre collection of vintage spoons. It wants the soul of his money. We call it inflation, but you can just call it the invisible tax for people who don't know better. Imagine a small, black, oily blob with very sharp teeth. That is inflation. It doesn't eat the paper. It doesn't eat the paper. It eats what the paper can buy. 10 years ago, Bob could walk into a shop with a $10 note. He could walk out with a feast fit for a king, or at least a very large pizza. Today, that same $10 might get him a slice of crust and a polite nod from the cashier. In another 10 years, that $10 will be a very expensive bookmark. But Bob doesn't see the teeth. Bob only sees the safe and secure logo on his bank's website. He thinks his money is staying still. But in a world where everything else is moving up, staying still is just a polite way of saying you are sinking. You are sinking to the bottom of the ocean. Just as Bob starts to feel a slight tingle of existential dread, a savior appears. Enter the Guru. The Guru is a stick man who looks like he was drawn by a toddler during a caffeine crash. But he is wearing a paper tie, so you know he is serious. He stands on a podium made of empty promises. He begins to vibrate with financial energy. The Guru doesn't speak English. He speaks Alpha Financial Synergy. He looks at Bob and says, "Why are you holding liquid fiat in a low-yield depository? Why do this when you could be leveraging decentralized arbitrage through a multi-layered blockchain ecosystem? You could be doing this with institutional-grade volatility hedging." Bob's brain immediately melts. He doesn't know what any of those words mean. But they sound expensive. And if they sound expensive, they must be the secret to wealth. The Guru loves this. The Guru thrives on your confusion. If he told you the truth, that you're just being lazy with your capital, he couldn't sell you his class. He couldn't sell his $900 masterclass on how to breathe like a millionaire. So, he hides the simple truth behind a wall of verbal garbage. He uses words like hyper-growth scalability and quantitative algorithmic optimization. He wants to make you feel like a caveman trying to fix a space shuttle. He wants you to believe that investing is a dark art. An art practiced only by monks who live in Manhattan penthouses. He wants you to think that unless you have 6 monitors, you are not qualified to touch the market. Unless you have a terminal that glows green, you are not qualified. He makes saving look like a joke, and investing look like a nightmare. He makes saving look like a joke, and investing look like a nightmare. So Bob does what most people do when they are confused and intimidated. He does nothing. Or worse, he listens to the Guru and tries to find a shortcut. Because the Guru told him that saving is for losers. And the Guru said, investing is for the brave. But the Guru forgot to mention that his version of investing involves a coin. It is usually a coin named after a Japanese dog. Or perhaps a digital picture of a bored primate. Bob is now caught in the middle. Behind him is the piggy bank prison. This is where his money is being eaten by the inflation monster. In front of him is the Guru's circus. It is a place where people juggle flaming chainsaws while shouting about the moon. He's paralyzed. He's scared. And his coffee just got 50 cents more expensive while he was listening to this. You see, the biggest trick the financial world ever pulled wasn't convincing you that debt is good. It was convincing you that money is complicated. They want you to stay in the dark. They want you to stay in the dark. They want you to keep your money in their vaults so they can lend it. They lend it to someone else for a profit, while they give you a tiny lollipop and a thank you note for your service. Saving is a defensive play in a game where the opponent is allowed to change the score. They can change the score whenever they want. But don't worry, Bob. The Guru has a plan for you. It's a very complicated plan. It requires a lot of charts. And it definitely requires you to give him more of that dying money. Is there a middle ground? Is there a way to escape the piggy bank prison without joining the circus? Well, that depends on whether Bob can stop trying to look rich. It depends on whether he can actually start becoming wealthy. But first, we need to talk about Bob's new car. So, Bob is terrified. The inflation monster has teeth, and his savings account has no pulse. He decides he needs to act. He needs to look like a man who understands money. He needs to look like a man who understands money. Because in Bob's world, if you look successful, the universe will eventually get confused. It will eventually get confused and actually make you successful. Bob goes out and buys a German car. It's sleek, it's shiny, and it costs more than his entire education. He tells himself it's an investment in his personal brand. He buys a watch that is so heavy he walks with a slight limp. He buys clothes with logos so large they can be seen from low Earth orbit. Bob feels like a king, but his bank account feels like it's being interrogated by the Spanish Inquisition. This is the liability trap. Let's keep it simple for Bob and for you. I know your attention span is currently fighting a losing battle. It is fighting against a dopamine-addicted goldfish. An asset is a chicken that lays eggs. An asset is a chicken that lays eggs. You feed it a little, and it gives you breakfast. A liability is a monster that lives in your basement. It lives in your basement and eats your furniture. Bob thinks his car is a chicken, but the car doesn't lay eggs. The car eats petrol and insurance premiums. It eats maintenance fees that involve a mechanic staring at the engine. The car is a monster. Every month, it reaches into Bob's pocket. It takes his money and gives him nothing back. It gives him nothing but a slightly cool feeling at a red light. If it takes money out of your pocket, it is a liability. If it puts money into your pocket, it is an asset. It's that simple.